This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another episode of Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, October the 7th, is a Oakland Raiders legend. Although he did also play many years for Green Bay as well. Played 18 years in the NFL. He played his college ball at Michigan, becoming the only defensive player to win the Heisman, and then in the 98 NFL Draft, he was selected by the Raiders, then joined the Packers for 7 seasons, before coming back for 3 seasons with the Silver and Black. He has the most defensive touchdowns in NFL history, second most pick sixes, and is fifth in interceptions. He's just inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He did that in 2021. His name is Charles Woodson, who's now 46 today. Woodson was Mr. Football in Ohio, and it was weird how, he was a running back in Ohio. Michigan recruited him as an offensive back, and strange as it is, because he went to high school in Ohio. He went to the University of Michigan, and you know the rivalry between Ohio and Michigan. So Woodson played 3 years for Michigan, 95, 96, and 97. And after his second game in freshman season, he never lost his starting job. He was a cornerback, he was a punt returner, and played as a wide receiver. He was Big Ten Freshman of the Year in 95. In 96, he looked pretty good. But 97 was when he really went off. In fact, he was the third Michigan player to win the Heisman Trophy, joining Tom Harmon in 1940 and Desmond Howard in 1991. Woodson took care of Peyton Manning in the Heisman Trophy voting. He's the only primarily defensive player to win the prestigious award, which is weird, and helped Michigan get a share of the national title with Nebraska. So he looked pretty good and all that. He was known for his big moments. Woodson had a touchdown against Ohio State and wanted to recreate the Desmond Howard pose when he scored against Ohio State, but the teammates mopped him in the end zone. So yeah, he got a national title. So he declared for the NFL draft following his junior season. And in the 98 draft, the Raiders took him. Well, Indy had the first pick and took one Peyton Manning. The second pick was San Diego's. They took Ryan Leaf. And then Arizona took Andre Wadsworth from Florida State. So Woodson was named Defensive Rookie of the Year in 98. And was 30 interceptions and had a pick 6 against the Cardinals. Woodson did quite well. And he looked pretty good and all that. Woodson was known for his apparent sack of Tom Brady, forcing the fumble in the famous tuck rule game, in which Oakland thought they had recovered the ball and the game was over. But no, it wasn't over, as the referee said that because Brady's arm was going forward to pass, it's an incompletion. But I don't think it passes the sniff test. I'm sorry. Regardless, it must have been bad for him. In 2002, he actually suffered a shoulder injury that caused him to be inactive for a while. And then he had a cracked fibula in his right leg. He did play for the Raiders in the 2003 playoff run to the Super Bowl, but his injuries were showing, and the Raiders get crushed in the final by Tampa. Woodson was not too happy with Bill Callahan once he came in for Oakland. He criticized him. He was labeled as a franchise tag and all that. He would keep doing a franchise tag deal until 2005 when he left. And Green Bay picked him up on a 7-year deal, which is like, wow, that's amazing. Well, Woodson didn't want to go to Green Bay, but because they gave him a contract offer and no one else did, he went. But Woodson would change his mind, saying that the people of Wisconsin helped him out. And he did quite well. He got 8 interceptions in his first year in Green Bay. Woodson did quite well. And then in 2009, he was named Defensive Player of the Year. He had a good time at the Thanksgiving Day game against the Lions. 7 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and a recovery. And 2 picks, which he did 1 for a pick 6. Green Bay crushed Detroit 34-12. He was still pretty good. Woodson then, after the 2009 season, in his first 4 years with the Packers, he had 28 interceptions. He had more sacks and touchdowns with the Packers during his time with Oakland. So he still owns the Packers record for most defensive touchdowns with 8, 7 of them on pick 6s and a fumble return for touchdown. Then Woodson helped Green Bay in the 2010 playoffs, right out a wild card run that saw them beat Philly, Atlanta, and Chicago to get to the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. Woodson unfortunately broke his collarbone before halftime, but he gave a speech to his teammates at halftime. Green Bay wins 31-25, and he got his Super Bowl ring. Anyway, Charlie Woodson knew what he could do. So he looked pretty good and all that. Woodson would play a few more years and then was released by the Packers in 2013. Oakland gave him a 1-year deal in May 2013, so he went back to Oakland. He still did pretty good and all that. Woodson was then given a strong safety spot instead of his cornerback and all that. So he played strong safety, free safety, and cornerback. Rarely does a defensive player do that because it has different meanings and all that. Woodson retired in 2016 and would join ESPN's Sunday Night Countdown. So in 254 career games with Oakland and Green Bay, he had 65 interceptions, 5th all time, 11 pick 6s, and 2 fumble recovers for touchdowns. His 13 ties him, as I said, with Rod Woodson and Darren Sharper for most defensive touchdowns. He's the Green Bay leader in pick 6s with 9 and defensive touchdowns with 10. In Oakland, he's the franchise leader in forced fumbles and pass deflections. So he's married and have 2 sons. And of course, he would have a little bit of a rivalry with President Obama because of Obama not wanting the Packers to come in because, he's from Illinois. But, it was good natured in a sense. So, yeah, cheers to Charles Woodson. And hail to victory. Hail to the victor. That is Charles Woodson. I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.